Okay, so let's look at Boolean multiplication, what we call part 2, and just like the addition, let's just go and copy the addition part. So we're going to assign a variable b, and we're going to assign it to a multiplication of Boolean. So instead of doing these addition signs, we're going to do multiplications. And just as a recollection, we know that when we do additions on Booleans, and actually when we're going to do multiplication on Booleans, that the falses are evaluated as zeros and the trues are evaluated as ones. So basically a false, in fact I'll do a multi-line comment, a false is a 0 and a true is a 1, and I'll actually do the capitalizations as well, because in Python there is capitalizations. So this is generally what we have. So all of the above, this will be 0, then this will be 0, this will be 0. We'll turn this one into a false as well, and finally we'll turn this one into a false. And then we are going to print B, and we will also print the type of B. And we know now already from experience that these Booleans are converted into integers for the purpose of arithmetic calculations, and therefore that the type inference or the result of B will actually be an integer. And if we hover over it, we actually do see that as well inside the interpreter here. It's a variable B and it's of type integer, and we've also got falses and trues over there. So when we run this little piece of code, we're going to get 0 times 0 times 0 times 0 times 0, and that's going to result us with a 0, and it's going to be of class integer. And if we wanted to get the Boolean version of the result of B, or of the value of B, we would need to do B equals the Boolean of B, and then we can print again B. So when we run this, we see that this 0 is now typecast into its Boolean, into its correct Boolean logic, which is a false. So this is what we have, and this is where we're left with, but we can also now do some modifications. For example, if we turn everything into a true, and true, so we turn all of our values into a true, and we run the same code, we see that true times true times true times true times true is the same, or the equivalent to 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, and that evaluates to 1. It's still a class of integer because 1 is an integer, and when we typecast it back into a Boolean, we get a true coming back. Now, one point to note is that if we have a false anywhere in the series, anywhere altogether in this system, B is going to evaluate to being a false, and that's what we're going to look at in the next section. And the reason that this happens is that anything times by a 0, so this false evaluates to a 0, so it didn't matter what these numbers were, anything multiplied by 0 is going to be 0, so it's going to be of Boolean type false. And that's it.